Hey everyone, welcome to our first episode of The Sprout Show. Thanks for tuning in.
Long time no see, Lucia.
Yeah.
So, The Sprout Show is meant to be this cheesy, entertaining show, but truly what we wanted to do was show up in a bigger way for our Sprout community. So, here you'll be able to meet the faces of the Sprout team. We've grown by 5, and vice versa, they'll be able to meet you guys too. So, in the show, you'll be able to get a behind the scenes look. You'll learn a little something, and even we'll answer your burning questions.
Yeah, here's what you can expect from the show today.
So in the first segment is Seeds to Success with Brian, where you will learn a piece of valuable education that you can incorporate to your business.
Next is the Ray of Sunshine segment with Javier, who interviews a sprouter who is utilizing Sprout software in an effective or creative way that the community can benefit from sharing.
After is the budding question, where Justin and Lucia will take the most common question in the support chats this week and answer right here.
Woohoo! Next is the Grow Getters, where Carly interviews a sprouter to shine a spotlight and to basically celebrate their achievements, regardless of the size.
Then we'll move on to On the Fence with Drew and Garrett, and honestly, I really have no idea what that segment's about, but we'll find out.
I'm excited for that one. Finally, the show will end with the community garden segment, where the entire team, all of us, will hop back on together and share what we've been up to behind the scenes at Sprout.
Yay. Yeah, so we hope you enjoyed today's show. I'm so nervous. I need to calm down and have some water. But feel free to write some questions in the comments that we can answer in the community garden, the last segment. And even just drop a hello. And when you comment live, you're automatically entered into a draw that you can win a really cool prize at the end of the month.
Yeah, super exciting. Alrighty, take it away, Brian.
Hello and welcome. Hi guys. Long time no see. Hope that you guys are all doing well. Give it away for Carly and Lucia. They did an amazing job. This is fun. We're doing this every week, like they said, and we're excited to chat with you guys. So if you're there, I can see everyone's here watching. So feel free to leave comments. We can see the comments here as you guys are watching. So feel free to engage. And some of us are also watching ourselves, which can be awkward, but we're watching ourselves in the Facebook Live, so feel free to comment there as well so we can follow along. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about in this Seeds to Success, I get a chance to sit down and teach a little bit and talk with you guys and share a new idea with you guys. So what I want to talk about today is pricing. This is a topic that obviously I love. We have a huge passion on. I wrote a book called Pricing for Profit 12 years ago. Which is funny because the picture of when we got, someone just asked, where's the 90s mullet? Whoever that is. I can't see who that is, but I appreciate the question. You just wait until a segment coming on because you might see a 90s mullet. I think Drew's been preparing for this for months. Anyways, so pricing. When it comes to pricing, there's 4 components that I want to just sort of share or talk about today as it relates to pricing. So the 4 different main core components of, what makes up your pricing is, number 1, there is the mechanics of pricing. So this is like figuring out what you actually charge. So understanding where your value is, understanding where your market is, understanding the quality of work that you provide and you create, understanding what your clients will bear and what they're happy to pay for. That's the mechanics. That's figuring out what you should charge. Now, this is usually the part that most photographers get stuck in the most. So if you need a hand with that stuff, we have a book, we have an audiobook, and we actually made a calculator for you. So a full spreadsheet where you jump in, you type in your numbers, and it'll actually spit out what you should be charging as a photographer. So if you want access to that, here's a call to action for you. Don't do this now, by the way. Do it after. Come over to Instagram, get Sprout Studio, and send us a direct message, and we will give you those no cost. Because that is not where the magic happens when it comes to your pricing. Those are just mechanics. You have to do it, but that should be the easier part. So that's the first part. Second part is mindset around pricing. So fear, uncertainty, feeling like you're too close to your prices. Most of us, we love photography. And so we would probably do this thing even if we didn't make any money doing it. But if we want to keep doing it to make a living, we have to make money at doing it. So there's a lot of mindset around pricing that we've talked about before, but certainly we can go into it later. I only have like 5 minutes for this segment, so maybe we'll kind of use this as a kickoff for more content. The third part is, and this is one that might feel weird to even talk about, but validating your pricing. And I'm going to go into that. That's actually the topic that I want to talk more about today. But validating your pricing is the third component. And then the fourth component is communicating your pricing. So that's more a function of sales and confidence in the work that you're doing and in your prices. So what I have learned is that once you figure out, number one, the mechanics of pricing, once you feel comfortable in that space, a lot of the other things will start to fall into line. I've found that a lot of photographers feel uncertain or insecure or afraid of their prices because they don't have confidence in the actual mechanical structure of their prices. So that's one thing that I want to encourage you to do is to, again, send us a direct message on Instagram. We'll give you our book. We'll give you the audiobook. We'll give you the calculator so that you can actually figure out what you should be charging and what you should be setting up as your prices in your photography business. And from there, what I want to spend some time today talking about is number 3, which is validating your prices. Now, this is something where I'm not saying that you have to justify your prices to your clients, because you should never have to justify your prices to your clients. But what instead I'm suggesting is that there needs to be a relationship between your prices and what you're charging your clients and what you're giving your clients. And that's what I call, and we've talked about this many, many times, and we've done podcasts and articles on it, but it's this idea of this value and price scale. I call it the get-give principle. Basically, you have what you are giving your clients, which is the value that you're giving them. And then you have what you're asking for in return for that, which is the price. So what I have come to find is that photographers who are charging more than the value that they're giving are seen as being expensive. Whereas the opposite is true, where if you're saying, hey, this is the value that I'm giving and this is the low price that I charge for it, then that's where we have clients that are kind of tripping over themselves to hire you as a photographer. And that's the space that you want to be at. You want to be creating and providing value that is higher than the price that you're charging. And that whole topic, I've talked and given workshops for hours on that topic, so I'm not going to go into too much on that here. But what I do want to share is a really great tool that I found. HBR published this article called The Elements of Value. And it's a really good framework to help you understand, or maybe just start to jog your memory on some different ways that your clients can find value in their experience with you. So I want to actually switch and share that. So I'm going to try. I got a lot of things happening on my screen right now, so if I share the wrong thing, you'll have to bear with me. But let's try this here. If I go like that, and I think that we're good. So I'm going to refresh this page here. So this is a little slideshow here, and I'm just going to kind of let that run because it's a really nice illustration of this elements of value concept that they've done here. Okay, so that's that's kind of like the gist of it. What I'm going to do is we're going to post the link to that little page because it's actually interactive, so you can click onto it and understand what some of these things mean. But the whole idea behind that is really just to kind of give you some ideas or some cues or some triggers that might be like, oh yeah, wow, I'm not talking about or communicating the way that I can create value for my clients in the most appropriate way. Or maybe what I find typically with photographers is that they look at elements, or they're typically promoting elements that are lower on that elements of value chart, which are good because at least you're talking about something, you're creating value in some way. But there are more meaningful ways that you can create value as a photographer. So we're going to link that up so that you can kind of use that as a tool to explore and to look around and have fun with. And maybe that's something that we can use to dig further if we want to go further, either on a podcast or on a video or on another one of these. But I only have like 6 minutes in these, so I have to kind of be pretty brief with it. But that's kind of my seeds to success today, is just kind of like sharing a little bit about pricing and talking about those 4 elements of pricing, the mechanics of pricing. And again, if you want to get a copy of that calculator, that spreadsheet in our book, send us a message on Instagram. We're happy to give that to you. Mindset around pricing is the second one. Validating your pricing, which is that whole value versus price conversation, and then communicating your pricing. So actually being able to have confidence in your work, in your pricing, and then be able to communicate that kind of in a sales experience with your clients. So that's my seeds to success. That's all the time that I have. I'm going to now transition things over to the next segment.
Hey, how's it going, Sprouters? My name is Javier, and I've been with Sprout for about 2 months now, focusing on business development. In this weekly segment, I'll be highlighting one of our budding Sprouters and their experiences with the system. So this week, we'll be documenting Dawn of Tech Savvy Creative. She started her professional life in IT, but fell in love with photography because it allowed her to apply that same technical skill to a creative space. Since then, Dawn has shot over 300 weddings and portraits, while also exponentially growing her mentorship business. Dawn transitioned to Sprout just this past January when she got tired of using multiple inadaptive platforms. Once she saw the clean presentation for clients and a powerful all-in-one system, she came right on board. Her transition has since allowed her to get rid of 6 different management tools. This includes Calendly, Tave, and Dubsado. As a result, Dawn is now saving a couple $100 every month, and all of Dawn's business tools live in one place, and she gets to provide her clients a home for their business to live in. So Tech Savvy Creative and Dawn Elizabeth Studios are now working in conjunction with Sprout Studio, and we love to see it. It's great to see our community thriving, and we hope to continue to play a role in that amazing process. Now, over to Justin and Lucia with our budding question of the week.
Good afternoon, Sprouters. I'm Justin here, and I'm also here with my fellow supporter, Lucia.
Hey, everyone.
Introduce yourself again.
Hi, Lucia.
Hi. So today, our burning question, or what we've been really getting a lot, is how to move over your shoots with a different software into Sprout Studio. And for that, we actually just finished building a great new tool called the Migration Assistant. Lucia, if you want to explain a little bit more about that.
For sure. The Migration Assistant is a great new tool that we've launched to help users migrate their clients and contacts, shoots and leads, orders and invoices, sign contracts, and much, much more. It makes switching systems easier and less overwhelming, so you can save time and keep doing what you love and give your clients the best experience possible.
Awesome. So we decided that we wanted to showcase this feature a little bit for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. You should be able to see it in very momentarily. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen now. So to find this tool, it's in your settings. So you're going to click on settings in the top right corner, and you're going to see this handy new migration tool over here. So you can decide whether or not you're going to add in leads or add in your existing jobs. So for the showcasing purposes, we'll just click shoots. I'm going to start filling in some details, and Lucia will just kind of narrate a little bit of what I'm doing here.
Yeah, for sure. So we're looking to see when they inquired. So we're just going to put in our inquiry date. Let's do February 15th, 23rd. Yep. Perfect.
So they booked on March 1st, 2021. Oh, realize there's a typo there. It's 2021 now.
Yep.
I should remember that. So we're going to click headshot. So we have our shoot date here. So this is when, obviously, when the client wants to have the session done. So we're just going to say it was March 15th. You could even go as further as to say this Friday, and it should actually just fill that in for you. You'll pick the brand that it's going to be with. So in this case, it'll be my portrait brand. We have a list of some of our lead sources already in here. But the really cool thing about the migration assistant is that you can actually type in. So if there was a referral here, I can just type in referral and add that in, and it adds it as a lead source to my account. The exact same thing here happens with your statuses. So I can say that I am editing images or anything like that. Anything I create here is going to show up in my account. This is where we'll add in the clients. You can add in clients that exist in your account already, or you can make one up on the spot. So I'm going to say Bruce Wayne is my client, and then I can add in more details. Let's say Wayne Enterprises, Bruce at Wayne Enterprises.com, and then I can fill in more details if I need them. The next section here, we can add in orders and previously paid invoices right into the system right from here. So we are going to say for this, they pick the business price list. I'm charging them GST, which is our tax up here in Canada, and then which currency you're charging. And then I can go in and I can say what they're booking. So they booked a headshot session with me. It's taxable, and their payments, their full payment, we're going to say $351, was due today, March 11th. Perfect. They also paid the full amount, $351, on today, and it was paid by cash. You could say whether or not you want to send up follow-up reminders, to which you can actually turn them on, off. You can manage them right from here. I'm just going to say I want to remind them that their shoot date's coming up. And then you can actually choose who's assigned to the shoot right here. So we are going to say that I am the photographer. Add my role in here. Ask me if there's any other notes for the purpose of this. For the time constraints, I'm just going to say no. We're going to go next. Of course. Maybe it needs everything in there. Yeah, so normally we just click next here and it would actually go into creating a shoot. I will figure out why that's not working. But essentially that is how you would build a new shoot with the migration assistant. You're able to tab through each field and enter them in quickly. So if you have them side by side, you can just whiz through them, really quick like that. So I'm going to stop sharing, so you should be able to see me again. So that was kind of just a quick showcase of the tool. Yeah, but that was me. Lucia, you want to take it away?
Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us, Justin. It looked really great. Can't wait to use it. Now we're just going to introduce Grow Getters with Carly. So on to Carly.
Hello, everyone. It's Carly. I'm back here. Gord, I'm trying not to be nervous, but for some reason I have the jitters. It's maybe my third coffee of the day, so just bear with me. But Grow Getters, basically this segment is all about celebrating the Sprouters and their achievements. So this week, my first interview goes to Kevin Unger, who talked about scaling his business. So I think we're going to take it away with a video now. We're here to celebrate you, Kevin Unger, and we're going to talk about how you I guess 3 years ago you added Beth, and just recently you guys incorporated, and now you're adding another team member. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks. Well, yeah, so it's been really fun. So, I mean, throughout COVID, thankfully we were relatively untouched, which is great. I mean, we were down a bit, but it was like we had a slightly worse year, not like just totally decimated, which is really, we're just so thankful. And yeah, and so a few years ago, when we were looking for an editor for us, we looked a lot, and then we couldn't find anyone. So I said, okay, on the commercial side of things, I'll find an editor for our headshot side. And then Beth, who is someone who I knew just from being around, she said, "Hey, I know this hasn't anything to do with weddings, but if you do need a wedding editor, I'd love to work with you guys." I'm like, "Oh, that's like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's great." So yeah, she was already a photographer, which was amazing. So she had a really good sense of color and how weddings should be edited, and she's just amazing. So yeah, so over a couple of years, she kept editing more and more, and we asked her, "Would you want to ever shoot weddings and with us?" And she said, "Absolutely," which is cool. So she started off contracting with us. In the first year, she had one wedding. In 2020, she had 4 weddings. And then this year, yeah, we got her up to 10, which is really, really exciting. Yeah, it's being able to grow. And yeah, we've incorporated our company, because before it was just like a sole partnership. So then we incorporated and we officially hired her. So now she's like working as part of our team. So yeah, it's been a really, really fun year. And even like last 6 months, it's been really, really, really fun.
That's amazing. Now, going back to 3 years ago, did you put a posting on like a job listing? You said through Instagram, you ended up finding her. Like, for photographers looking to find an editor, find a second shooter, or grow their team, where did you find the best place to find people, the best people?
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's like even just being involved in the community and getting to know the people who are around. Like, you're like, the wedding community, at least in our area, is like they're really nice to each other. I hope it is in other areas too. So yeah, just being able to like ask your friends, like, "Hey, do you know anyone?" We might have posted something on Morning Light. We try to keep a lot of business things actually off of it, because we only want to be showing weddings and serving our clients only, and not really show anything about us. But also the odd post here and there we might have posted, but I asked around a bunch and had a hard time. So I posted on my personal, but even so, my personal one is really just like my commercial photography page. And so yeah, and I have photographers following me on that as well as Morning Light. And so I think just using your local connections as well as like social media is like a really good place to start.
Yeah, and I like that you're keeping that almost separate, because your audience is your clients, right? So maybe looking at who you're serving, exactly what you said.
Yeah, no,
So,
totally.
is there any tips you can give to people? What were you looking for? What mistakes did you learn from? Yeah, to speed up this process, because now you're growing your team, right? So the next person, you want to kind of get them onboarded and ready to go and out the door and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So I think like the biggest thing is when we started out, we just had no idea, right? Because there's not a user manual for this.
No.
Like, hey, you hired someone, here's how you get them more work quickly. So yeah, it took 3 years. But I think the next person who we're talking to, I think it'll be a lot quicker, because yeah, like we learned like, hey, it's really important to build a portfolio and build it quick. Also show them on your Instagram, show them on your website. You can't sell what you don't show. And that includes like selling the services of people, right? Of having her photograph your wedding day. And so yeah, so I think it's just doing that and just like being able to just show that they are part of the brand. And so me and Victoria, my wife, we run our company. And for a long time, it was like just a husband and wife team. And we're trying to grow, just instead of Kevin, Victoria, Morning Light. No, Morning Light is the company, and like there's people who will work for it. Yeah, and just showing that like it's less about Kevin and Victoria, more about the team, more about Morning Light, and then this way also then showing pictures of Beth like online, that kind of thing. Yeah, and like just getting to know, also doing like maybe styled shoots with like different vendors, but having that photographer there. This way also vendors then start recognizing them too and can start referring. So we found that was really effective. And we also got lucky too. The first styled shoot Beth did, it got published in Wedding Chicks. So like that was just really like, yeah, she's great. She's so good. So we just got really, really lucky with her. So we are just so thankful.
Cool. Well, I'm glad that everything is happening the way it is. I'm so excited to see your guys' journey through the rest of 2021. It's definitely looking up, and I'm excited to meet this new person you're bringing on as well. Have you hired them already, or when are they coming on? Or you're looking?
Yeah. We have a few people who we're talking to. One person who's said they're going to edit for us. So we're still talking with them just about like, how that's all going to go and if they want to shoot for us as well. But yeah, so it's going well, and hopefully, they'll be hired in the next little bit, which is exciting.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you.
Hi, you're with Drew and Garrett today for the On the Fence segment where we examine some of the greatest photographs ever taken through a non-expert lens. So today we will be looking at a gorgeous bride and a few other technical elements involved with this photograph. So let's take a look at this. Okay, so here as you can see we have Brian Caparici in his best gown and dress, rocking a bit of an overexposed image here. But all in all, it's not terrible as we see it's a bit of a wind effect comes into play here as we try to capture that on the bride's face there, getting the veil flowing in the wind. Anyway, though, Garrett, what are you seeing here?
Cool. Well, Drew, this is a great shot. You really don't see these too often, and I'm glad we're looking at it today. I'm glad you found this. You can see a lot of emotion there. There's pure joy. I think that's the job of any real photographer, is to capture that moment and just make it forever. And this is with me forever. I can tell you that right now.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So glad to hear that. So glad that the emotion has been conveyed to you the way that the photographer intended. However, we do have to put one critique into play here. When trying to bring the wind effect into play, you do want to hide the fan next time, maybe bringing your angles into a bit more of a close shot perspective to hide that in future.
You know what? I absolutely agree. That's a great call there, Drew. And my recommendation to this photographer would be, you mentioned that it was overexposed. You got to be really careful with some of your clients, as if you don't get the lighting right, it might reflect badly.
Yeah, especially when dealing with a subject that lacks some hair up top of there. As you can see, we get some of the mirroring effect coming into play. Anyways, though, I believe that could wrap it up for the On the Fence segment, but I will throw it over to Garrett for some closing remarks.
Oh, I think that about wraps it up, Drew. Now, make sure all of you folks tune into our segment next week. Drew and I have got our hands on an early copy of Brian's self-published autobiography, Capture Michi. We'll see you then.
We're all on now. Yay! Good job, guys. Oh my gosh. Let me make sure everybody can see us all. I think we're all on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You guys, that was our first show. Yay! Drew and Garrett, thank you. That was amazing. All right, everyone, thanks everybody for hanging out. The community garden, this is like at the end here where we all come back on and we're all talking and just kind of sharing what's up at Sprout and some things that we're working on. One of the things that I had on my list was the migration tool, which you guys have now already seen. We did put a post here in the Facebook group about the migration tool. So if you haven't seen it, if you haven't checked it out, go find it somewhere down below here and check it out. We'd love to have your feedback on it. It is going to be what powers the concierge service, which is something that we're launching in the next little bit. So that's just like my addition to that, in addition to what you saw with Justin. So I'll pass it over to Garrett.
Yeah, this week we announced the winners last week of our feature prioritization survey raffle, Brian. Lauren Samuels, April Lalani, and Kay Manel were our winners. So we'll be getting a $75 Amazon gift card into their hands as soon as we can. On that note, on the survey, I know you made a post about it, Brian, in our Facebook group. But for those who didn't catch that post, we did post the results of the survey. As some of you may expect, two-way email, building a Sprout mobile app, those are some of the most popular things, but we are focusing on some of the speed and improvements, which were also extremely popular. We've been hearing that feedback loud and clear, and Brian also made a post today about some downtime where we're hoping to address those issues. So that's very exciting. Lastly, on that note, if you did not get a chance to fill out the survey, we did invite users to join what I'm going to be calling the Sprout Lab. You can get your feedback directly into Sprout in a new initiative that's forming. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to reach out to me at my email address, garrett@sproutstudio.com. You can also, again, contact us on our Instagram or any of our other socials. We'll get you involved with that if you're interested. I will pass it off to whoever's next here.
Carly.
Carly.
Hey.
Hello, I'm next. Thank you, Osa, by the way, for recognizing. This was not planned. We are all just showing up in blue today. We just love the sprout color. That's why. I actually wanted to talk about March is Women's History Month. So I briefly wanted to talk about that and shout out to all the incredible sprouters who identify as women. And I wanted to share some quick stats from the American Community Survey from the U.S. Census Bureau. So this is based in the States. So the photography industry is made up of 63,000 male workers and 57 female workers. That's a 6,000 difference, so not too variant. But however, the average male salary is $43,000 and the female salary on average is 31. So that's a 10K difference. And before I move on to the point that I want to make, February was also Black History Month. So I just quickly want to point out that 73% of photographers are white, 12% of photographers are Black, and less than 15% of photographers are people of color. But basically, what I want to talk about is DM us on Instagram. We want to change this. We want to make sure photographers are getting paid what they're worth. So that book that Brian mentioned in his segment, Pricing for Profit, we're giving that out for free. So send us a DM and yeah, let's price ourselves right. I don't know who I'm passing the mic to.
Who's next? Oh, me, Lab Integration.
You, Brian.
Hi,
Jeez.
right, yes. Guys, so this is our first, the funny thing is I mean, everyone in the Facebook group, you guys are probably familiar with seeing me in here, and I'm used to doing this when it's just me talking to just you on the camera. There's a lot of technology that we had to introduce, and in fact, I took a behind the scenes photo that Carly can maybe share on Instagram, or maybe we'll post it in the group, just to kind of show we've got all these screens going on. So the technology here is kind of funny, but this idea for this show, this is something that we want to be doing, like we said, every week. So it'll be fun, and hopefully we'll kind of figure out all the hurdles and the technical glitches, like what Justin and Lucia had when they were showing off the tool that they were working on. But so lab integration, I don't have a date for you. So that's the end of my update. That's pretty much, I'm sure you guys are all like, yes, he's going to talk about the dates. I don't have a date. So ladies and gentlemen, and sprouters of the community, I do not have a date for you for lab integration. But what I can tell you is that each week, yes, will be the same each week. So this is going to be different each week. It'll be the structure. It's the same 7 of us. Carly's taking a picture of me, so I'm trying to keep in a good thing. So we do not have a date for lab integration, but the idea is that we are rounding the corner into some alpha and some beta testing on the feature. So that's just kind of the update that we wanted to share with you guys. No definitive date, but what we have built, this is the other thing, and I've talked about this a few times, but I'll share it again just now because we got a lot of folks watching. Lab integration, when we say lab integration and what we're working on with lab integration, or as Siri likes to call it, lab integration, whenever I type it into Slack with the Sprout team, lab integration is such a small part of the actual tool and feature that we're building for you guys. So lab integration and the part where your clients go to a gallery, they order prints, those prints automatically go to a lab and then go back and forth to you and you can get notifications. That's what might be understood as what lab integration is. It's so much more than that of what we're building for you. So we're building a brand new shop for you, a whole new buying experience for your clients on the front end of a gallery, a whole new way for them to see your products. And I can't share too much more beyond that, but a whole new way for them to see what your photography will look like in their home. So that's a whole new thing that's never been done before. And then we're also building an entire workflow engine for you as it relates to orders so that you can stay organized and you can sell more prints but not get overwhelmed by selling more prints. So there's a whole bunch more improvements to Sprout than just lab integration itself, but we are rounding the corner on that feature in development. So that's where we're at with that. I'm just kind of looking at some of the comments here. Sounds amazing. Are there labs on board? Yes, we have labs on board. Can I share? Not yet. We will tell you. We will tell you when we can tell you. That's it. That's it for my update. I know it's the announcement is that there will be an announcement for an announcement to announce the announcement. I'm going to pass the microphone over to Drew, who's going to talk about the podcast.
Yep, so I'm here to talk to you about the Business of Photography podcast, which you all love so much. So we just dropped episode 454, wow, I know, with Brian, and special guest Alex Vita joins in to talk about websites, do's and don'ts, as well as how focusing on your website's user experience and website performance can help separate you from the competition with your online presence. So you're going to want to tune in to hear some really interesting facts, as well as some do's and don'ts that I was blown away by, as well as you can go to Alex's website on foregroundweb.com/website statistics to see a photography industry report all about websites in the photography industry, about what's performing right, what's performing poorly, and where you fit in and what adjustments you can potentially make to your online presence to help separate yourself from the competition. So check that out when you get a chance, and we'll be back to getting more podcasts out in the future.
Amazing. All right, just as a side note about that, I remember as I was doing the podcast, Drew, Alex and I were talking, and I know Alex, I've known him for years, and we're sitting there, we were talking, and we're going through this thing, and then he just kind of drops this oh yeah, I have this report. So while we were recording, I opened up his site and I opened up the report, and I had to lift my jaw off the table because the report is so thorough and so informative, and I've already heard from a whole bunch of photographers who listen to the podcast who are wow, I checked out that report. That's insane. So if you guys haven't listened to that podcast, I definitely recommend going to listen to it. And Drew, where can they find that podcast if they were interested?
You're right. I didn't mention that, but I will. You can find that anywhere that you listen to your podcast, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all sorts of apps like that, as well as on our website at getsproutstudio.com. /episode, well, it'll be /454, just the episode number.
Amazing.
So you can find that in our community resources pages as well under podcasts.
Amazing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, anything else that anyone wants to add? That was all that we had for our list, but is anyone feeling like they want to go a little improv and share anything, or are we feeling pretty good? Thumbs up. All right, good stuff. Everyone, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed this broadcast. This was kind of fun, and we're going to be doing this every week at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So now we're going to cue the outro. Here we go.